Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Money Radio, the Energy Edition. It's good to have you. Today we are talking about the issue of resurgence of fuel queues, particularly in Abuja, the city capital and its environs. In the past few weeks, a month plus now, we have seen fuel queues returning, and then we've also seen the activities of parallel market operators coming back on stream. And then one begins to wonder, is it a December kind of disease? We are here, it's December in a few weeks, the Yuletide is around the corner. So we'll be looking at this issue in today's Money Radio, the energy segments of it. I have my name is Nse Antonio Ko. I'm standing in for our regular host, Case Hammond, who is unavoidably absent. But with me in the studio today to do justice to this topic is Mark Isibo. He's a well-versed person in the issue we are discussing today. So you can just sit back and follow us. Thank you for being out there. So, Mark, we have seen the resurgence of fuel queues. You are a road user and you're a car user. Tell me, how has it been in the last couple of weeks about getting fuel here in the city center?
Of course, it is. Thank you very much. Let me thank our audience out there. It has not been easy for motorists and all every other commuters. It has been an issue of maybe you get it to buy, fuel or not. It has been an issue of spending hours in the queues trying to get petrol products. It has been an issue of people now hoarding fuel in their homes. And you know the implication of that, the respiratory risk to that, the dangers associated with that. Because when you have an opportunity to buy today, you are not sure of getting it to buy tomorrow. So people tend to, so what you see most of us, or most Nigerians do these days, you see people buy fuel and go and keep. Because you may end up buying 25 liters for your car, and you may need to want to buy 25 liters for your car tomorrow. Why you have it, of course, the issue of light in the country. So you may still need to buy fuel for your generator. So before you know it, somebody who could be having up to 100 liters of fuel in his home. You understand? And you know the danger of that. So it has been an issue of one day in, one day out. Or like they say, like the old proverb, every day is there's one day, one trouble. You understand? Because it keeps recurring, and you wonder what is happening. When will all this stop? Is it prearranged? Who is responsible for what?
Okay, thank you. So, like Mark said, it's been the queues are back, and a lot of motorists have been having difficulties getting the fuel for their cars, and of course, don't forget for generators, being that a lot of Nigerians still have to rely on independently sourced power for their homes and businesses. So we have seen, because of this, we have seen a spike in what Nigerians are having to pay. We have seen the black marketers increasing the cost of 1 liter of petrol from the normal 165 naira to a liter that is sold at the filling station to 250 and 300, even in some cases as much as 400 naira to the to a liter, depending on where you are. And Nigerians don't have any choice when they are when they are pushed to the extreme on it. They just have to buy it because they must move around. They must keep their businesses running. Mark, one thing I want to bring up here. This is December, and we are seeing this scenario play out. If you want to look, apart from maybe 2019, during the heat of the COVID-19 pandemic, that's about the only year that we did not see fuel scarcity in December. But every other years previously, we have always had the issue of fuel scarcity in December. Do you see this as a planned thing on the part of the marketers to ensure that Nigerians just make things difficult for Nigerians at the end of the year?
Yes, I see it. I have two ways to it. One, I see it as economic sabotage, if you ask me, from the marketers. Then on the other side, I see it as a failure of the regulatory authorities to do their work. Because somebody somewhere has the responsibility or the mandate to ensure that marketers or fuel stations don't hold fuel. When you have, you must open to buyers. That is somebody's duty. And then why I see it as that particular side, you and I know that the regulation of the sector has been very, very poor. And then you talk about the marketers themselves. Why I say this is sabotage. You see, it is only in Nigeria that rain will fall, and you see commercial drivers and their conductors increase price of fare, price of the transportation for no reason, just because they know that many people will be stranded, because they know that many people want to get home on time because of the weather condition. It is only in Nigeria that when they know that there is going to be much demand, or people are going to have it good this time, people will not have any option than to just take it the way it is offered to them. And that is what the marketers keep doing over the years. It is you can count. In fact, for how long are we going to remain in this kind of scenario where once you have festive periods, you have the marketers you come up with all manner of gimmicks just to hold the fuel and make more money for themselves. I can tell you that most of the fuel stations in this country, in Abuja for instance, have fuel. But you see them open for like 2-3 hours and they lock their doors. And you see their staff, the people operating the dispensing machines are always around because they are waiting to see if the regulatory authorities will come around. And if they see them around, they quickly jump to the pumps and they begin to dispense fuel. And if they don't come, they will lock down the fuel station for the whole of the rest of the day. And tomorrow morning, come again, you will see them selling fuel. And if you watch all through the night, you will discover that not even one or not even a liter of fuel was brought from outside to come and deposit in their tank there. So, and then the question is, why do we keep? It's just a matter of wickedness, humanity to man. Because this is Yuletide, where we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate New Year, we want to enjoy ourselves, and then somebody somewhere feels it's an opportunity for him to make money. And over the years, they keep doing this thing, and they keep going away with it unpunished. And so, the regulatory authorities must ensure that we have measures on that will not only take care of this, because of course, as it is now, let me not be accused of against the risk of being accused of being a prophet of doom. I can tell you that this will last beyond this Christmas and New Year. And it's time before Christmas, because when they see Christmas approaching, they know, oh, this is another opportunity for us to make money and to make big money. And now, if you go to some filling stations, they sell fuel for 200 naira. Outside of just at their gate, they have some agents, so many boys, some street boys that have jerry cans, 10 liters, 50 liters, and the rest of that they are selling. A 10 liter, we went to one of the, I don't want to mention names, went to one of the stations in Abuja, within Guaripa area the other day, yesterday. And then the 10 liters that is sold for 3,300 naira at the rate of 165 naira. somebody, one of the boys, if all of the boys there, they have an agreement that that 10 liter is the minimum amount they sell it is 4,000 naira. That is somebody taking from the jerry cans.
Okay.
And they are stationed in front of the filling station.
Yeah, the filling station does
The filling station does not have fuel.
So where did they get it?
They bought it. So when they, to tell you that this thing is pre-arranged, when you buy, one of my friends wanted to buy the 4,000 naira. I told him, I said, let us wait here, they will open this gate. What will you lose 1,700 naira for? We will better waste the economic time rather than waste the economic cash. So we had to wait until they finally opened the station. And I can tell you that uncountable number of people came there and patronized those boys. And then when they sell to you, they immediately run to the same station. And you see them, they refill for that same guy, and the guy goes out. So it's like a big cartel. And that is running, and nobody is doing anything. So that is Nigeria for you, and that is what is actually happening. And I don't know what we are doing about that.
Okay, now the independent product marketers, they've come up to say that the reason why we are not having fuel is because their members are not able to lift fuel. To them, they said that they are being owed as much as 40 billion naira in terms of fuel equalization fund. If you recall, the Petroleum Equalization Fund was one of the three agencies that were scrapped in line with the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act that was passed sometime back in August. So with that we had the Department of Petroleum Resources, and then the petrol regulatory, the pricing and the regulatory agency for that, PPPRA, and then the Petroleum Industry Equalization Fund. Now, what this Petroleum Equalization Fund used to do was to bridge the gap, the amount in transportation for fuel, so that the amount bridging the cost of the differential between what the transporters pay, the landing cost, and then the cost of transporting it, mostly from the south down to the north particularly, is bridged so that we can have petroleum products, especially petrol, sold at the same price all around the country. But with this now, even though the federal government has said that all the liabilities and assets of the scrap companies will be taken over by their successor companies, and in this case being the downstream, that is the Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory agency. So, but as of this week, the marketers are still saying they are being owed. How would you see this? Do you see it as a deliberate act from government to hold on to this?
The government will continue to fail Nigerians. The government continues to behave as if they don't know that governance is supposed to be a responsible act. If there's a standing note, it's okay, Mr. ABC marketer, bring fuel and we will pay for this. And there's an agreement that if you bring this quantity, this is what we are paying you. And that amount now to, according to yourself, that now amounts to about 40 billion naira debt. What does it mean? It means that the marketers themselves will not be able to perform some market activities, because these are things that actually come in form of loans from the commercial banks. And of course, we know today that the commercial banks, of course, you know, their interest on loans is something else. And the marketers will not just go to the commercial banks and say, oh, the federal government is owing also because of that. Some of them will have lost their properties, their landed properties, their homes, their buildings, and the rest of them to these kind of things. The other time we heard the debt management office saying that they have issued 1.5 trillion naira promissory notes
Okay.
for this kind of reasons.
All right. Okay. The debt management office issued 1.5 trillion naira worth of promissory notes. Please hold that thought. We'll be on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on that.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Okay, you're welcome back. We have been looking at the issue of resurgence of fuel queues, particularly in this Yuletide season, and then what the government should do to ensure that Nigerians have a good Yuletide holidays, and they're not meant to expend all of their savings on this celebration. I had with me in the studio, still in the studio, is Mark Isibo, and we've been looking at, just before we went on break, Mark was talking about the issuance of promissory notes on behalf of the federal government to the oil marketers, up to 1.5 trillion. And then here we are again. That was like last year.
Yeah.
Okay, that happened last
Until this year.
Last year into this year, and here we are again. It's still the issue of the marketers said they are being owed, and they cannot lift fresh fuel because they've not serviced the debt that they were being owed. So do you think that in line, there are some issues on ground now? The federal government is working at removing fuel subsidy in the new year, and also the PIA as is being implemented, in which case there will not be the issue of government having to step in. Do you see that government should still come in right now, the debt management office, to issue a fresh promissory note?
Now, let me tell you. Earlier, I said it is a two-way factor. I talked about the sabotage. Why is it that the marketers, they know when to hold Nigerians on the jugular?
Mhm.
They know that this is the most prime time to hold Nigerians down. And then I talked about the failure of the government to regulate them, to ensure that, okay, if you say you don't want to be in business, please stay outside. Let us know that you are not able to operate. But if you are operating in the kind of skeletal operation, then it means that you are sabotaging the economy, because you have to provide. But now we're talking about how government should complete its own part of the agreement. The government cannot continue to owe marketers, who will in turn be owing the banks. At the same time, we're talking about non-performing loans, because to the marketers, this is a matter of lack of confidence of the government, because they see it as something that to them, if you ask me, they see what this outstanding 4 billion naira, and the government promised that, oh, go to the market, just continue, we will pay, as bad debt already. Because we talk about the 1.5 trillion naira promissory note that have been issued so far. It is issued for this kind of reasons, just to tell the market, just to give them hope that, look, the money is not lost, you will get it so time. Please hold this document, this financial note for us. And while you're holding it, this is a certificate that we are owing you, we will pay. But that is not done in a practical capitalist market environment. What is done is cash and carry. You pay for what you can afford and you go away with it. So if the federal government wants to do the right thing, if the federal government doesn't want us to see them as the one that is actually causing this hardship for Nigerians and making the Yuletide somehow difficult for people to enjoy their lives or have a restful holiday, let them come out now and do something substantial so that we can now hold the marketers solely responsible for what is happening. The government needs to do something. The government needs to at least fulfill its own obligation, because that is what they undertook to do. And they said that they were going to pay for the under recovery. So the tax differential they have agreed to pay, that shouldn't be any reason. So what is the reason? The NNPC is still running as a government entity, and they are still making profit. They are still doing operation. We are still lifting crude. We are still importing. So what then? Where did the gap come from? How did that accumulate? And at what time did we get to that extent that we can no longer clear the backlog and allow us to ride smooth to when we will eventually remove the subsidy and see what the price of fuel will be sold for? If officially the price of fuel has been increased, then we can now know that yes, this is what we're paying for. Now the price is indirectly increased and the product is not available. So making life unbearable for people. So the government, if you ask me, the government should come out clean and do its own part of the agreement and let Nigerians have a good holiday. Let Nigerians enjoy this Christmas.
Yeah. You have now, okay, like we've always seen, whenever there's fuel scarcity like we are having now, it comes with a whole lot of impact on Nigerians. You see increase in the cost of transportation. A short distance that should ordinarily cost 100 naira, for instance. Many of the marketers, in fact, right now we don't even have a distance that you pay 50 naira for anymore. The shortest distance that you have right now without the fuel scarcity on ground is 100 naira, and that's as a result of inflation. Then now, if you had the fuel scarcity effect of the fuel scarcity to it, the transporters have upped the price from 100 naira. You see them, some of them having to pay 200 naira, 150 for a very short distance, and then it translates to cost of food. Already before now, we have seen cost of food or food items on the rise. The inflation figures came out yesterday. Inflation is at 15.4, but then food inflation is still very high. So then when you now have to add the added effect of the fuel scarcity to the cost of food, how much will Nigerians pay for food? And in view of this, Nigerians are not having their allowances, their salaries reviewed. Their salaries are not being reviewed. This will affect electricity tariff, cost of providing electricity. Most Nigerians don't get electricity from the national grid. They have to source their own electricity independently. This is going to affect the cost, and every business that is done accordingly will also record an increase in price. And then there's the issue of adulteration, fuel adulteration, which is very dangerous. And Mark earlier mentioned the issue of Nigerians storing fuel in their homes. Whenever they get to a place and they see it to buy, they want to keep it because they don't know when they are going to have it again to buy. And you know, this is a risk, a very high risk, not for the people keeping it alone, but for the neighbors and all that. So here we are calling on government to come in and do the needful The marketers have come out to say what their issues are. They have a backlog that is not yet being paid, and there's so much uncertainty in on ground because of the implementation of the PIA, the scrapping of the Petroleum Equalization Fund, the DPR, and the other agencies. So the new management of the midstream, downstream petroleum regulatory agency, we need you now to come on board and show these marketers that yes, like the federal government said, you've taken over the liabilities of the PEF. So you're going to perform on them so that the marketers can go out, get fuel, and this issue can be taken care of for the benefit of Nigerians. Mark, what would you say on a final note?
It's okay. The issue is that the ripple effect, this scarcity of petroleum and the responding hike in the price of the same product, the ripple effect it will have on the entire economy is not quantifiable, because it affects both transportation, both food, both all kinds of things. Because, like fuel is the engine on which the Nigerian economy is run. Everything is tied to it. The price of Maggi in the market is tied to the cost of transportation. The price of an imported product is imported to a Lagos port. The price of it at the end of the end user's table is determined by the price of fuel, because of the cost of transportation. Now, as a country, we must and we should look for a way to address these lingering issues. This is one too many. We cannot keep talking about fuel scarcity day and night. We should, as a country, look for a permanent solution. Come up with something that is workable. Agree on where and how we should go about this issue of fuel scarcity, because it is causing us trouble. We have heard of so many fire burn some houses and the rest of them because people were storing their fuels or keeping fuel in their houses. So the federal government has to help. We keep calling on the federal government. The federal government should please come out to help Nigerians. We need your help. The sufferings for Nigeria is already too much. We are talking about what I call the political inflation figure. What we have as 15% is just a political figure. If you go to the market, you know the price of commodities. You know, if you have to measure it, if you ask the market woman to tell you the value of the real rate of inflation at the market, she will tell you that it's likely to be around 25% or 26%. But here we have the government-owned NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, telling us that it's falling and falling. But if you go out there, you see otherwise. Now, let us deal decisively with this issue. The government, please liaise with the marketers, clear the backlog of outstanding debt or financial obligations, and let the marketers come up to supply fuel to the stations so that Nigerians can get fuel to buy. Many people will not be traveling because of the economic hardship. But though for few of them who will be traveling, they should be able to find it easy to travel. We are not even talking of the insecurity on the road. The roads are so unsecured to the extent that you will not even advise anybody to travel. But for anybody that will travel, it should not be that the government or these licensed marketers are the ones that are now making things difficult for those kind of people to travel. Everything should be put on ground to ensure that life becomes seamless, to ensure that movement around town or outside of town becomes seamless, so that we will know that at least we have a country. At least we know the government in this world.
Well, we've heard from Mark the government needs to up its game. We have seen the recurrent fuel scarcity at the end of the year too many times that it's something concrete ought to have been done by now. Well, we are glad that the Petroleum Industry Act has been passed and is being implemented. We are also looking forward to having that act being fully implemented, and hoping that it will be the savior that Nigeria has been waiting for, to see all those issues that is that the oil and gas sector is facing, one of them being this perennial issue of fuel scarcity, taken care of. That is the much that we can take on this edition. I want to say a very big thank you to our followers out there. I want to say a thank you to our producers, to you, Mark. Thank you for being here with me in the studio. And I remain yours, Nse Anthony Uko. We'll be back on Monday with a bumper program. Do stay with us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.